When you don't quite fit in a box, how do you respond to the stares and comments as people try to guess your ethnicity? It's an issue all 7 people we interviewed continue to face on a regular basis. What can the general population learn from their experiences as the number of multiracial Americans continues to grow? In part 4 of my series, A Bridge Between Cultures, we learn how the self-identity of our 7 interviewees has evolved over time and how they use their challenges as teachable moments.
Mom.
Yes, honey?
Dad told me that Cheerios is good for your heart. Is that true?
Says here that Cheerios has whole grain oats that can help remove some cholesterol, and that's heart healthy.
When this Cheerios cereal ad came out in 2013 featuring an interracial couple and their daughter, General Mills was hit with a rash of racist taunts. While many people of mixed heritage found the stares and questions challenging in their younger years,
I think as a younger person, I probably felt more irritated.
as they've aged, they often use the comments as teachable moments.
Oftentimes people just start blurting out Spanish to me. Sometimes people, think I'm from different parts of the world where I have no remote connection to. But I find it an interesting icebreaker, a way to start a conversation, and it helps me relate to them on a broader level.
People will often come to you and they're curious. They want to hear your perspective, and it's good because you can educate people that way.
If somebody really pressed, I would say, well, my mom's black, my dad's white, and they might ask me more questions about it. And I would usually try to treat it as more curiosity as opposed to something negative.
I hear a lot from biracial people that one of the first questions they get asked is, what are you? Is that something you've ever experienced?
Yes, absolutely. And for the most part, I'm very happy to talk about it when people ask me, and I'm just as happy to ask other people about it as well.
Jeff Liao's father was born in Hong Kong, grew up in Brazil, and went to college in San Francisco, where he met his wife.
We probably ate more Chinese food and had a little more Chinese culture and experience. But my dad still had family in Brazil, so we experienced Brazilian food and culture just as much.
In the past, Americans of mixed heritage often had to choose one race over the other. They weren't identified as multicultural. It wasn't until the year 2000 that the U.S. Census began allowing Americans to self-identify as more than one race. Even so, according to a 2015 Pew survey, 61% of Americans with a mixed racial background don't identify as multiracial at all.
I do sometimes find out and am surprised when black people who I thought knew I was black the whole time, when I find out that they've assumed I was white, or they'll mention something to Glenn, my husband, and say how comfortable I seem around black people.
Half report identifying as the race they most closely resemble. But could that be changing? Could their self-identity evolve over the years?
There's definitely, I feel like, a shift. When I was younger, I was teased for being half black. Now, like my nieces and nephew, it's almost, there's pride behind being partially African American. For example, one of my nieces, her friends did not believe that she was partially black. And now there's only a quarter black because my sister married a white guy, but she had to prove to her friends that she was quarter black, and she wanted to make sure that they understood. So she was like showing them pictures of my father, her pop, to prove that she was partially African American, because now it's kind of cool to be associated with and to be black.
CTV reporter Janine Samuels is also a former professional cheerleader. She says sports helped with her self-identity.
People knew about the division of races, but I was in the athletic environment and we were all a team. So we didn't pay as much attention to ethnicity because we were all in it to win it together.
Today, the number of multiracial Americans is growing at 3 times the rate as the general population, according to the Pew Research Center. That means their numbers could soar to 20% of the population in the next 30 years. and many of them are passing on to the next generation an even more diverse gene pool.
And that's Papa and me.
My son, who obviously my wife's Filipina, but of Chinese origin, so he's super like multicultural. He's Chinese, Russian, Filipino, and Spanish.
Joe Howard runs an Arthur Murray franchise where he deals with people of many races and nationalities. But he says it's taken some time to realize that he can fully embrace both his Vietnamese and American roots.
Everything from just food to taking off your shoes when you walk into the house to, I'm sure there's uncountable things I learned from my mother just through observation and listening and interacting that comes from the Vietnamese culture. I'm just not aware of it.
Take your routine and make it fit this music, I think.
The toughest part was, being young and not knowing whom to identify with. And I think that, young people are always looking for identity. Are you a jock, or are you a scholar, or are you with the Asian group or the white group? And it was really tough in my generation growing up to figure out where I wanted to be.
Her father was an Italian grocery man.
Alejandra Melnick says she no longer thinks of her Dominican and Ukrainian heritage in percentages.
So it's a little just like coming into your own and realizing that you're not one or the other. You are just both. They can exist simultaneously at the same time.
And be sure to tune in tomorrow for the final segment of my series, A Bridge Between Cultures, as we discover the link between being biracial and problem solving, as well as the impact people of mixed ethnicities may have on future generations.